Hi, welcome to Classic Car Cave. So obviously this video is going to be on this 1958 Jaguar XK 150 OTS. There was a time when we were doing two of these cars. It was some years ago. I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago, or maybe 8 years ago. I started the work on this car. It was in very, very poor condition, as you can see from some of the early videos. There was a serious amount of body work done on this car. I would think possibly, I would say at least 60% of it has been changed. Maybe not, yeah, maybe 60%. The wings were in quite bad condition. The tonneau cover was really, really poor. That was completely rebuilt by hand and lead loaded. And there was, I was doing a second car, so there was two cars. There were some people that we used to know who we're not in touch with anymore, and he was a bit of a car fanatic but knew nothing about cars, and we were buying this car as a, not as a wreck, but as a restoration job. After I'd finished my E-Type, I kind of got a bit of the restoration blues, which is basically, you know, you finish the car, you think, oh, what am I going to do now? So we decided to get another car that I'd always wanted to do. Anyway, he saw that, this chap saw it and said, oh, you know, I want one of them, and there happened to be a second car for sale. I wasn't particularly keen on doing work for anybody else. I have done it in the past. I've had two garage businesses, and I know how difficult it can be working with the public or working with people. You know, there's an old saying about never getting a business with friends and family, and there's some truth in it. Anyway, I did eventually agree to taking on his car, but only up to the point where it was going to be painted, so mechanically and the bodywork. And his car was in much better condition, but it was around about 15,000 euros more than this car. And you know, over a period of time we were working on it, and subsequently what happened was by the time we got to the point where the paint job was on, he has a business in Czechia, or the Czech Republic. He's gone there because obviously it pays cheaper labour and so on and so forth. We had a few fallouts and a few arguments about things because he was quite demanding, and instead of now sort of saying, oh, I want this and I want that, and we discussed it, and I gave him my opinion and told him what I thought was going on. For instance, before I brought this car over from England, I bought a new chassis because I knew the old chassis was going to be rough inside, and he decided to keep his chassis and have it dipped in acid and then re-galvanised, which didn't really work. And subsequently what's happened now, since the car's been rebuilt, he originally wanted it galvanised, so it was galvanised. We then started to put the car together, fortunately not too much of it, but probably a month's work into it, and then he decided he wanted it black, the chassis black, the same colour as this one is, except this is powder coated. So I had to strip it down again to repaint it, and it was stuff like that. So, you know, things went, I can't go into every detail, but there was a lot of crap going on. And in fact, I was involved with this club. This is the XK Gazette, or there's the XK Club and the E-Type Club. It's owned by one guy. It's not a club as in they have a membership, but it's privately owned. And I did an article in it for many years on the build-up, and it was called Double Vision. And the reason I called the article Double Vision was obviously there was two cars. And as I said, the main reason I took them on, they were both roadsters. They were both 58. This is an early one. This is 119th, and his was something like 900 and something. And having two cars and never built, even though I've restored many cars, I'd never built an XK 150. It was handy having both cars, one in better condition, his, than this one, and it gave me a reference point. So that was the reason I took it on. And the other reason I took it on was I didn't want any money changing hands. So what I charged him for my labour, the idea was he would buy the parts for this car. That's the way we did it. But of course I have to pay Amir, and Refka's has given us a hand, his wife, from time to time on other jobs. But I have to pay them, and obviously we pay for all their expenses while they're here. They don't spend a penny while they're here. We pay for all the food, drinks, accommodation, everything. And I was charging him at the time. I stupidly said I'll charge you €25 an hour. That's not even 25 quid, which was ridiculous. You know, even for a couple of some years back, that was still ridiculous. And I realised I was actually losing money on the deal. Plus, I wasn't getting on one with my own car. So I said, well, I'm going to charge you 30. So it was €5 more an hour, and he wasn't happy about it. And I said, well, that's fine. So I ended up taking it on a trailer and taking it to his warehouse, and I left it with him. Now, where the karma came back from this in the end is after some 6 months he'd had it back. He had all the parts, because we bought the parts between us. We had paid some cash as well, and that's another story, but I won't go into that one. I gave him all the parts. He took it to these guys in Czechia, and then they turned around and said, you know, the chassis isn't good enough. It needs to be put on a new chassis, so we're going to have to strip it all down. And I think the last time I heard from him, they wanted €85,000 to redo it. So, but he was told, I explained to him, I said, do you really think I bought a brand new chassis because I want something shiny? I got it because I knew it was going to be a problem. When you've got a car that's kind of 68, 64 years old, of course it's going to be rotten inside. Anyway, so that's the story. I just wanted to explain it because John Buchanan, who's one of my long-term viewers, sent me a message, and he said, I wondered what happened about the second car. And that's really basically what happened. It became, and this is why I'm not keen to do work on people's cars. Fortunately, we're in a position where I don't need to do it. I don't need the money. And the Mini that I took on for Jeremy and Toby was a different situation. And I wanted to help them, and I had some ideas about how I could make it nicer. So it was a good project, and they've been nothing but perfect friends and customers up to a certain point. But again, I don't charge very much. It's more out of a hobby, and I enjoy doing it. I like to see these cars go back on the road. But believe me, you can have nothing but some issues with some people who then get a bit strange and a bit funny. And to be honest, it left a bad taste in my mouth. And after this one with Jeremy, who I say has been a faultless friend and client, I will never do it again. No matter what the situation is, no matter how good the car is or not good it is, or how great a project, I would never do it again. I've really learned my lesson to not get involved with other people's stuff. My own, yes. Anybody else's, I'm sorry. I'll give them advice, and I'll try and help them if they wanted to bring it here or something like that, but I'm not taking on other people's work. Anyway, I just wanted to make this clear so that you understand. So as I said, I was doing this XK Gazette. It was a 1,000-word article every month, and that got a bit of a bind after a while as well, because you know, you have to have it in a month before and this and that, and there's no payment for it. These magazines weren't paying me. They don't pay any of the people who do the articles, and when you think that's the crux of the whole magazine, I think the only thing I got from them was a free copy, because I thought, well, you know, if I ever sell the car, I can sell the copies with it. Anyway, so as I said, I just wanted to bring you up to date on it, and that's the situation with it. And hopefully in the next, Amir is not here at the moment. He's away for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know. And hopefully we'll get all the windows, all the glass put into the chrome, we'll get all the door cards in and get it all finished up, and hopefully start getting the paperwork together to get it registered. So that's the story on this 1958 XK150, which has been turned into, I'll show you, I don't need the driver's seat in at the moment. We've had all the seats in so we know they work. And as you can see, the latch is not on properly yet. As you can see, there's an S badge on it there. Now, this car is not an S, it's an SE car, but it's got everything that an S had on it, which is the triple carburetors, the high flow head, and the twin SU pumps. That was the only difference. I'd say that's not correct. Actually, the compression ratio was better on the 3.4 S, but apart from that, it's pretty much the same. So I hope that brings you up to date on how and why these things have changed, and why we got to that situation. But like as I say, the only piece of advice I would say to you, if you're doing anything for somebody else, make it absolutely clear. Make sure you get payment up front, or if you don't get it up front, at least get part payment or stop doing the work, because if you let it build up and build up and build up, all you'll end up with is resentment. Anyway, I hope that's some help and some advice. But this is the reasoning behind me not working for other people. It's not because I don't want to. Well, I'm getting older now, of course, but it's just not worth the hassle. That's all I can say. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and keep it as a hobby. Take care.